What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to today's edition of Dream Firm Spotlight. My name is Tyler S. Clark, co-founder of Dream Firms, where we help entrepreneurial accountants to create the firm of their dreams. And to help you to do just that usually involves making more money during tax season. And so I'm going to go through a couple of tactical ways that you can increase your prices and therefore increase your profitability. So the first thing that is not so obvious for some odd reason is that the supply and demand curve works dramatically in your favor from January until really March, late March, April 15th-ish. And what that means is you have more control over pricing, okay? There's a decrease in the supply of qualified tax professionals. And when you have a decrease in supply and increase in demand, that means that you can use higher prices and they're more likely to get accepted. Now, the problem that most people have with this is they don't really have a great way of bringing in new clients in a way that doesn't throw a ton of chaos into their existing situation, because most firms are at capacity, right? They go, oh my goodness, there's more demand, but I'm already backfilled on what I've got to deal with between now and April 15th. And so one of my favorite strategies to help alleviate the pressure of tax season is you need to educate your clients that extensions are not bad. They don't really actually matter at all. And so if you take the time to just say like, hey, look, new client, you're going on extension. Here's why it's not that big of a deal. It's the only way that I can work with you. You can either get a full pay up front or you can take a deposit. But the key is you've got to collect cash to confirm that they are in fact a client. You use the scarcity to your advantage of the fact that you're already at capacity. I'm going to have to put you on extension, but you secure the business of the client and you explain why extensions aren't a bad thing. Second point about this, if you want to decrease the overall stress of tax season and spread out your profitability through the year, or just you tell all your clients that they're automatically going on extension. Just make it part of your policy and how you run your firm. Now, you don't have to do that, but if you feel undue stress or pressure associated with the 15th deadline, I know a lot of firms that do this. So if you want to make more money during tax season and you've got, let's say, some extra capacity, you simply can use surge pricing to your advantage. And so if someone for some reason still thinks the extension is the devil or is proof of you not doing your job, you can just simply say, hey, look, no worries. Since you're coming to us in the season and our clients take priority, we're happy to make sure your return gets filed by the deadline, but it does come with an extra premium. You can set the premium at whatever you want, to be fair, like totally relevant to like how complex the return is. But the good news is that as long as you tell them that that's the case, you're giving them the option of spending more for speed, or you're giving them the option for a little less, but you've got more time to service the account. So by giving the client the option to do that, a lot of clients will simply say, I'm happy to spend the extra $500, $1,000, $2,000, because I just don't want to have to think about this past April 15th. Next thing that you can do to increase your overall profitability and cash flow during tax season, a lot of firms have this general belief, if they haven't raised prices before tax season starts, it is now illegal and unethical and impossible to raise prices during tax season. So just to be clear, you can raise prices whenever you want. And if someone's like, I can't believe you, how dare you raise my price? You can say, look, I'm really sorry you feel that way. I'll tell you what, I'll put you on extension for free so that you have plenty of time and go and find a new person to work with that's more in line with your budget. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal. I promise you, you'll survive, they'll survive, everyone will be okay. And this gives you just, again, optionality throughout tax season to increase the amount of money that you're capable of making and keeping your team happy. Speaking of price increases, one of the funnier things that I've seen is people who think that they are expensive are shocked when I say, can you do me a favor and look up what TurboTax charges? Or can you do me a favor and call your local H&R Block and explain a common tax situation to them and ask them what the price would be? Because I think you don't realize that you're underpriced compared to national franchise and online service providers. One of the easiest ways to make more money during tax season is repricing and repackaging clients into their appropriate level of service. For instance, if you're doing any form of bookkeeping, you should be getting paid every month for it. I know a lot of people know that, but a lot of people don't actually do it. It's the easiest layup there is. What you don't want is you don't want to incentivize the client to not be on your monthly service. In other words, if your cleanup work is intentionally heavily discounted for whatever reasons you want to make up, be careful of giving them an incentive scheme to wait. In other words, you don't want to reward them for waiting, which is what a lot of firms do. So don't do it, because it gives you a crap load of work all at once at a lower price. And so the best way to avoid this is to remove optionality. Okay. Talking to another client earlier today, and when people are coming to you, whether it's for tax, and I know this is all about tax, but if someone's coming to you for a professional service and you're giving them options, in other words, oh, we can do this or this, the person doesn't know what's best for them. They don't know. And so the best thing that you can do in general across all professional services, and definitely within the tax field, is don't give them package A, B, or C with different prices and say, you pick. Did you pick the right one? I hope you picked the right one. Because if you do that and they pick the wrong thing, that's whose fault is that? It's your fault, because you gave them the option. Figure out what the math is that you'll be profitable on associated with the price, right? What goes into servicing the account, and what's the price need to be so that you have a healthy margin, minimum 30%, give them that price and move on. Final one, okay? So yes, you can upsell into bigger packages. You can use surge pricing. In other words, you're just saying like, hey, if you want before the deadline, it's this, or it's this if you're willing to wait. You can reprice at any time. So drop all the emotional baggage you've got behind you. You can reprice at any time. And if for some reason people balk about that, you can always just say, hey, you know what? I'll put you on extension so that you can find someone between now and then. And there's no big deal about that. And the final one is like, the nice thing about tax season is there's a massive influx of new interest in your business. This is, again, it goes back to that supply and demand curve that I was talking about earlier. And so if you want to make more money during tax season, there's an old quote that I love from Russell Brunson, and I think it's the thing I go back to anytime I feel like my business is in a crunch, right? Or it's like it's not growing the way I want. And I tell it to clients all the time. If you want to make more money, make more offers. So if you look at your client base, some portion of your client base will qualify for some form of added service, and some portion of them will buy it if you simply make them aware of it. What do I mean by that? If a new client comes to you, okay, you may be used to just saying, I will sell you a tax return for X dollars, Form A is worth B, or Form A is worth X, Form B is worth Z, right? This is how I come to my price. And I go, well, if they're a business client, you could make them a new offer, structure it differently, and increase how much they're willing to pay you as long as you don't make it optional. And so this is one of the big unlocks that we have for our clients during tax season, because what we recommend is a two-step sales process. And the reason we recommend that is because oftentimes the reason you're not as profitable as you'd like on engagements is because you just pull a price out of the sky. You don't actually fully understand the client situation. And then you're like, why aren't we that profitable? It's because you didn't take the time to understand it. And the reason you didn't take the time to understand is because the client's not invested in the process of helping you to understand it. And so we call this just the financial 360. It's just a way to pay for the right to access your expertise and bundle additional things that are high value and low cost for the firm to deliver. And it's priced, between $1,000, $3,000, $5,000. But during tax season, a lot of people just want to buy tax returns. They don't want to buy a financial analysis of their situation. They don't really care that much. So if you want to increase the perceived value of the tax return, and you want to sell the thing that helps you sell the larger packages, the monthly recurring services, and also accurately quote larger cleanup / backwork projects, guess what you do? You just bundle, you make a new offer where you say, I'm going to include my tax filing services with our 360 services for slightly adjusted price. And now it's not optional. It's just in order to get our tax filing services, you have to go through our 360 services. And so this is just a sales principle that I love. Sell them what they want, but give them what they need. They want a tax return, but really what they need is a full service accounting, bookkeeping, and tax arm to their business. That's really what they need. And so I want to give them what they think they want, but only within the context of what's acceptable to me and my business. And when you do that, you make more money. I don't like to typically try and sell tax plans during tax season. And the reason I don't like to do that is I don't like to do that because when you try and sell something that can't typically be implemented immediately, clients wonder what they're paying for. So you could bundle it into your monthly service package. Totally cool. Totally recommend it. Again, there's just more value when you stack more things into it. But if you're like, Tyler, why don't you recommend selling tax plans right now? It's because you usually don't have the time to actually fulfill on it. And so I wouldn't waste your time trying to sell something that you can't reasonably fulfill on right now. If anything, I would want to use that as an upsell opportunity in the future when it's more likely that you have the time to fulfill on it, or you sell the full package and you just have to make sure that you educate the client on when that takes place. But again, like I said, I would much rather just string out when that cash flow happens because people like to pay for things and get the value associated with them quickly. Or you bundle it all into one thing as opposed to tax service plus tax plan, but the tax plan is not going to happen for several months. I'd rather just say, hey, you may have an opportunity for this in the future, right? Like you may qualify for this in the future, but, or you may even apply a credit, right? Our tax plan is 10 grand. We apply a credit of the tax filing service to the tax plan in the future. You can use that if you want, but I think that tends to complicate things. I like simple, and simple is usually just sell them, again, what they want, but give them what they need. And sometimes what they need is going to be in the future. And if it's in the future, just slow down, recognize that there may be some friction to getting the sale, and know that you're going to have an opportunity to offer them things in the future. And during tax season, sometimes you don't want that extra headache, stress, or burden. So I'm really sick today. I hope that was relatively okay, but I appreciate the time, attention, as always. It's your most precious resource. It means the world to me. Remember that only you can create your dream firm, but we are here to help you every single step of the way. Have a fantastic rest of your workday, and I will see you guys all inside of the Dream Firms Network. See ya.